Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome. I'll invite our speakers to please join us at the podium and ask if you could please take your seats. Good morning. I'm Lieutenant Governor Susan Bysiewicz. All right, well, there we go. All right, good morning. I'm Lieutenant Governor Susan Bysiewicz, and I would like to welcome you to Connecticut's World War II Veteran Recognition Ceremony. And it is my great honor to be here today with 70 of our living legends. Sorry about that. I don't know why. There we go. It is my great honor to be here with 70 American heroes who are veterans of World War II. A round of applause for our veterans, please. So we are going to start our ceremony today by inviting up the Connecticut National Guard, Color Guard, to post the colors. And please stand if you're able. I'd now like to invite up SPC, Bendelis, Canales Salgado, and members of the 102nd Band to sing our country's national anthem. SPC, Canales Salgado, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much, and I'd invite Chaplain Eichelberg to please deliver our invocation.
Good morning. I invite you to pray with me if you'd like to. Almighty and eternal God, we gather before you with hearts full of gratitude on this sacred occasion to honor the men and women of the greatest generation, our cherished World War II veterans. In your divine providence, you raised up a generation who stood against tyranny, fought with valor, and preserved the cause of liberty for the world. Lord, as we welcome our distinguished guests, the Governor and especially the Lieutenant Governor of Connecticut and all those who gather under this roof of remembrance, we ask your blessing upon this time of solemn tribute. Let our words be worthy of the courage shown, and let our gratitude reflect the immeasurable debt we owe. We thank you for the freedoms we enjoy, purchased at so great a cost, and for the enduring peace secured by the sacrifices of our World War II veterans. May their stories continue to be told, their service and sacrifice remembered, their legacy honored by every generation. Pour out your favor, we pray, upon our state and nation, and upon the Connecticut National Guard, who stand ready to defend the cause of peace. Grant us the wisdom to lead with humility, the strength to serve with integrity, and the faith to follow you always. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Thank you so much, and please do be seated. I want to thank the Connecticut National Guard, who are hosting us today, and General Yvonne for managing this logistical challenge of bringing us all together. I'd also like to thank our State Department of Veterans Affairs and Commissioner Ron Welch, and mayors and first selectmen from across Connecticut for their assistance in helping to find the members of our greatest generation. And we are here today to celebrate the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II. And it is so critical that we take a moment to recognize the members of our greatest generation who fought fascism and protected our freedoms. Today, we are so privileged to have 70 of the 600 Americans living in Connecticut who served in World War II. We are so grateful that our greatest generation, and so many of them, have joined us today. Let's give them another round of applause, please. So these men and women were part of the 16.4 million Americans who served our country during World War II. 1 million of those who served were African American. 350,000 of them were women. They were our pilots, mechanics, medics, nurses, and more. And I think it's also important to note that in addition, by the end of the war, more than 19 million women were employed in factories all across our country, creating our arsenal of democracy. These women answered the call and stepped up to ensure that able-bodied men could serve in our United States military. At any given moment during the war, 1 in every 10 million Americans were serving. Many families, like mine, had multiple family members serving at the same time. My dad served in the Army Air Corps. My uncles, Peter and Adolph, served in the U.S. Army Infantry, while my Uncle Ted stayed on our farm in Middletown. Imagine what parents like my grandmother went through in the days without cell phones or email, not knowing where their children were and whether they were okay. My Aunt Mary joined the Coast Guard, where she taught military secretaries in Florida, and then was an executive assistant to an admiral in Washington, D.C. And I just want to show you the photos that I brought of my dad and my Aunt Mary. There's my dad, and my Aunt Mary is standing next to a palm tree in Palm Beach, Florida, with her sisters. So today, we are celebrating veterans from our state who came from farms, from factories, from small towns, and big cities. Many of them are children of immigrants or immigrants themselves. Our veterans were the people who, as Churchill said, fought on the seas and the oceans, in the air, on the beaches, on the landing grounds, the fields, and in the streets and in the hills. They never surrendered. They saved our world. These are ordinary people who stepped up and accomplished extraordinary things. They were united by a common purpose and common values: duty, honor, courage, love of country. And after the war, our veterans returned to our state and helped build our state and our country. Many of you were part of the 3 million returning soldiers who used the GI Bill to get job training or to go to college. You transformed our post-war economy. You raised beautiful families, lived very long and productive lives, and never stopped serving, whether it was in veterans organizations, local charity, government, or in business. You were part of a very modest and humble generation who continue to give back after your military service. Between 2008 and 2010, as Secretary of the State, I had the incredible privilege to meet and hear the stories of more than 15,000 World War II veterans in Connecticut and 150 towns across our state. The stories that they told were powerful. They spoke about the dangers of totalitarianism and fascism, which fueled violence and genocide. They spoke of liberating concentration camps. They talked about the importance of cooperation and working alongside our allies from Britain and France against threats to democracy. They spoke about the devastating human consequences of the war. More than 75 million people across the globe died during World War II, including more than 400,000 of our American soldiers. They spoke about the sacrifices that they made and the importance of striving for a peaceful future. Today, we are going to hear from our living legends, from our American heroes, who will tell their stories. And time is of the essence to recognize their contributions, because their numbers have dwindled to less than 0.5% of those 16.4 million who served in World War II from our country. Our Department of Military Affairs estimates that there are less than 66,000 of those veterans left in America now. It's our responsibility to celebrate their stories and to preserve their legacy, and it's incumbent upon us to honor their service and sacrifice by protecting the freedoms that they fought for and that we enjoy today. And it's especially important at this moment in our country's history when 81% of voters believe that our democracy is threatened. And indeed, our democracy has been under threat every day since it was created. So let us follow the example set by our greatest generation and be the engaged, active citizens that they have been. Thank you so much. And it is my great honor to introduce to you the governor of our beautiful state of Connecticut, Ned Lamont.
Thank you, Susan. Good morning, everybody. I'm a member of the baby boomer generation. We came after the greatest generation. Gives us a little bit of an inferiority complex because everything you did was so incredibly important, which is why we are here today, 80 years later. And just walking through each and every one of you, I only had a chance to talk to a few of you, but it just reminds you of extraordinary heroism that made such a difference. First I got to talk to Joe from Bristol. Hey, Joe, 100 years old, that's you. Telling me the story about coming in Iwo Jima, amphibious, responsible for the landing. We had been dropping bombs on Iwo Jima for 60 days, but Japanese were all underground in tunnels. Really hadn't made a difference. The artillery coming in as he brought in the troops, the amphibious landing. Joe, isn't that what you told me? And then they couldn't get up the beach because the ash was such that you had a hard time getting the tanks up. And that's where Joe was. And he just got back from Iwo Jima and mentioned to me that he was surprised that all the Japanese media were there, but where was the American media? Remember what that meant. Where's Ed? Ed from Enfield. I just talked to you. Ed was amazing. He came into Guam. He was in charge of dredging, opening up. And Ed told me that the coral was so sharp that it just tore through his boots. And he had to complete the mission to get the job done. He was unable to walk for another couple of years. And if I had a chance to talk to each and every one of you, you would have told me another simple story. Wouldn't have volunteered, just only when I asked, because that was the difference you made on behalf of each and every one of us. And that's why we're here 80 years later. And I loved hearing Susan's story. We all have family connections. And back in World War II, everybody had somebody in their family that served, and it was a common purpose and touched our lives. I mean, my Uncle Tommy was in a submarine, and it was the last submarine to go down, second to last submarine to go down in the Pacific, taking out oil deliveries into Tokyo Harbor. And I just remember for the next 40 years, my grandmother was sure that her son Tommy was going to probably be on some tropical island somewhere and come in and surprise her. And it reminds you what that meant to a family. My father-in-law, he was there on D-Day and never wanted to talk about it. Never wanted to go back to Normandy, and definitely never ever wanted to go camping. He had been there and done that. And I just say this from the bottom of my heart for what it means for each and every one of you. And we miss this a little bit because democracy is pretty messy a lot of the time. We spend a lot of time sort of focused on what divides us instead of what we have in common. And it's those little moments like Pearl Harbor in the beginning of World War II that you see what American democracies are. When we come together as one, we're absolutely invincible. And we do it with our allies. I see we got the British Consul General and the French Consul General, and we're with you. We're together. We remember what that is. We know what it means to be friends. We know what it means to be allies. We know what it means to celebrate the men and women who stood up for this country in this time of need. God bless you all.
It's my pleasure to introduce the person who takes care of the 130,000 veterans that live in the state of Connecticut, our Commissioner of Veterans Affairs, Ron Welsh.
So good morning, everyone. Very tough acts to follow, the Governor, Lieutenant Governor. To Governor Lamont, thank you, sir, for your continued support to our 153,000 Connecticut veterans, and especially to this greatest generation in front of us today. To Lieutenant Governor Bysiewicz, thank you so much, ma'am, for your vision and significant coordination in putting together this tremendous World War II event, and your continued support around the state of Connecticut to recognize our veterans. To General Yvonne, thank you very much, sir, for this beautiful venue and all the outstanding support you provide today and throughout the year. Whenever our department asks for anything from General Yvonne, they deliver 100%. And to those distinguished guests that are with us on the stage, our British and French consulate members, and our Representative Foster and Senator Honig, the chairs for the Military and Veterans Committee, thank you for attending as we celebrate the 80th anniversary of World War II victory. Most importantly, to these distinguished members in front of us from the greatest generation, today is your special day. We can never say or thank you enough for everything you've done, all of your service and sacrifice to keep us a free nation. You heard the numbers from Lieutenant Governor about the 16 million serving and the significant number of casualties, unfortunately, we had. Many of you were drafted. Many of you stepped up after you learned about the brutal attack on Pearl Harbor. And many of you were on the ground as Marines, as Army service members. You were undersea in the Navy and submarines. You were on the high seas, Navy ships, and in the Coast Guard. And some of you were merchant Marines. And a lot of you were up in the air as part of the Army Air Corps. And you were providing tactical air support. You were dropping paratroopers, and you were conducting large-scale strategic bombing operations and missions. Some of you were doing the hard behind-the-scenes work, either inserting undetected deep into enemy territory. Some of you are providing administrative and logistical support overseas and maybe even back home. All of you, you're our heroes. You're the ones that we tried to emulate during our time in military service. You were well-trained, well-equipped, and decisively won the big one. You won World War II and European and Pacific theaters against a very well-trained and well-equipped enemy in those challenging foreign lands. You're the ones that got the largest victory day parades that we've seen over the years, and then you settle back into your communities to live the American dream and show us how that's done. You helped build America as America quickly rose to the global superpower that it still is today. You became coaches and teachers and leaders in the community, and you helped raise your families, and you shared your experiences and education to others on the importance of service to others, whether it be in the military or in the civilian world. It's because of you and your service and sacrifice and those willing to put everything on the line for their fellow Americans so we may enjoy the freedoms that we have every day. So as I close, God bless you, our great state and great nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. It's my pleasure to introduce the Adjutant General of the Connecticut National Guard and our host today, Fran Yvonne.
Thank you. Good morning, Governor Lamont, Lieutenant Governor Bysiewicz, Commissioner Wells, our British Consulate in Boston, David Clay, and the Deputy French Consulate, Ms. Mary McGill from New York, committee members of the Veterans and Military Affairs Committee, Senator Paul Honig and Representative James Foster, distinguished guests, esteemed veterans, members of the military, state, and local leaders, families, and friends. Welcome to the Hartford Armory. You know, back in the day, in 1939, this was the largest gathering space between New York and Boston. So we are so honored to be able to conduct this event and so honored to recognize you here today. It's a profound honor to stand before you today to recognize the courage, sacrifice, and service of our World War II veterans. To the veterans in attendance, this gathering is for you. Your heroism and dedication have given us the freedoms we cherish today. I want to first extend my deepest gratitude to the Lieutenant Governor for spearheading this event. You and your team have done an amazing job, along with the VA and our team at the Connecticut National Guard, in honoring our World War II veterans today. 80 years ago, as you heard earlier, a generation of Americans answered the call to stand against tyranny. They fought on the beaches of Normandy, in the Ardennes, across the Pacific, and in the skies over Europe. They endured hardships that tested their spirit and their will, yet they never faltered. Their bravery was immeasurable, and their sacrifices paved the way for the world we live in today. The greatest generation not only won the war, but also built a stronger nation upon their return. They laid the foundation for prosperity, strengthened our democracy, and set an example of resilience, unity, and determination. Your contributions, their contributions, off the battlefield, raising families, leading your respective communities, and continuing to serve in countless ways are as much a part of your legacy as the valor that you had in combat. Your sacrifices were not just for their time, but for all time. The freedoms we hold dear today are a direct result of your service. The men and women of the Connecticut National Guard and all those who serve in uniform carry the values forward that they protect and fought to protect. Their courage inspires us, their legacy guides us, and your stories remind us of the price of liberty. As we celebrate your service today, let us also remember those who have never returned home. The brave souls who gave their last full measure of devotion rest in the cemeteries across the world, from Arlington to Normandy, from the Pacific Islands to the European countryside. We honor their memory not only in words, but in action, by continuing to uphold the principles of freedom, justice, and democracy for which they fought and sacrificed for. To our World War II veterans, on behalf of the Connecticut National Guard, our great state, and a grateful nation, thank you. Your service and sacrifice will never be forgotten. May we always strive to be worthy of your legacy. May we teach future generations about your courage, your dedication, and the unbreakable spirit that defines you all. May God bless you, our military, our great state, and the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you so much, General Yvonne. We will now hear from the British Consul General in Boston, David Clay, on behalf of the British government.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, Lieutenant Governor Bysiewicz, Governor Lamont, honoured guests, and most importantly, all of the veterans who are gathered here today. Thank you very much for the invitation to take part. It's been a real honour over the last half an hour to meet many of the veterans we're honouring here today. I met veterans who worked in Cornwall on landing craft, who had visited ports across the UK, from Liverpool to Scotland to London, and I even met somebody who managed to come away with a British policeman's helmet at the end of the war. I'm here today to pay tribute on behalf of the UK government, but also on behalf of the UK people, to the living veterans of World War II from the state of Connecticut. Men and women who answered the call of duty in one of humanity's darkest hours. 80 years ago, the world was engulfed in a conflict that tested the limits of endurance, resolve, and unity. My country faced one of the greatest threats we have ever faced. From the beaches of Normandy to the skies over Europe, from the forests of the Ardennes to the towns of France and the Netherlands, American service members stood shoulder to shoulder with the UK and her allies in a shared mission to restore peace, to defend freedom, and to defeat tyranny. But the cooperation between American and British forces during World War II wasn't merely strategic or tactical. It was deeply human. It was built on trust, mutual respect, and a shared belief in the values of democracy and liberty. Together, they planned and executed some of the most complex military operations in history. They endured hardship, loss, and sacrifice, and their achievement was truly historic: the liberation of Europe from fascist rule. Connecticut's sons and daughters were part of that effort. They left behind farms, factories, schools, and families. They crossed an ocean to fight in unfamiliar lands, not for conquest, but for peace. Their bravery helped bring an end to a war that claimed millions of lives. Their service laid the foundation for the longest period of peace and cooperation that Europe has known. The UK remains profoundly grateful for their sacrifice. But peace is not self-sustaining. It must be remembered, nurtured, and defended. And that is why we're here today, not only to honour the past, but to remind ourselves of the responsibility we carry into the future. The generation we honour today is often called the greatest generation, not because they sought glory, but because they answered a call greater than themselves. They did not ask what the world owed them, they asked what they could do to make it better. And they did so with humility, with courage, and with a sense of duty. Now more than ever, let us not allow time to dim the memory of their deeds. I grew up with grandparents that had fought in World War II. My mum's father George was in the Navy, mostly serving in the Mediterranean. And my dad's father Harold was a mechanic in the army who spent most of the war keeping our tanks running. To me, their experiences made the war something tangible. Knowing them meant that I felt a personal connection with what happened 80 years ago, and I think a mostly unconscious understanding of what it meant. My 3 children are another generation removed. Their grandparents were born a couple of years after the end of the war. And it's my generation's responsibility to teach them what happened and what all that sacrifice meant. So let us not teach our children not only the facts of history, but the values that shaped it. Let us ensure that the stories of those veterans are not lost to silence, but passed on with reverence and pride. To all the veterans gathered here today, I thank you again on behalf of the people of the United Kingdom, and we promise never to forget what you have given us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and now it's my pleasure to bring up the French Deputy Consul General Miriam Gill on behalf of the French government.
Dear Governor, Lieutenant Governor, Council, Commissioner, dear members of the National Guard, dear Connecticut officials, dear U.S. veterans, ladies and gentlemen. It is a profound honor to stand before you today. As a Deputy Consul General of France in New York, I am deeply moved to pay tribute to you during this ceremony honoring our World War II veterans on behalf of the French government. This year marks the 80th anniversary of the end of the Second World War, a conflict that shaped the modern world. 8 decades ago, the forces of freedom triumphed over tyranny thanks to the unity and resolve of the Allied nations. While history records the names of generals and statesmen, we must never forget that their leadership drew its strength from those who served. The dedication of 60 million Americans in uniform was not only necessary, it was indispensable. And today, every scholar, every patriot, every young French person learns that in their storybooks. The veterans we honor today are soldiers to fight far from home, driven by ideals that transcend borders, liberty, dignity, and democracy. On the battlefields of Europe, through their sacrifice, the Nazi regime was ultimately defeated. To the veterans of Connecticut, I speak on behalf not only of the French government but also of the French people when I say thank you. You carry the burden of that conflict, and it is you who helped shape its outcome. No country feels this debt more deeply than France. Our lands bore witness to some of the war's most decisive battles. From the beaches of Normandy to the heart of Paris, young soldiers, many from your very communities, helped to restore our freedom. Our capital, Paris, endured 4 years of occupation. Its liberation came through the courage not only of the French resistance, the Free French forces, but mostly the American troops, among them soldiers from this very state. Together, they brought light back to a darkened city. From our coastlines to our reconstructed cities, France remembers. Our liberation came not only from within, but also from afar. Shoulder to shoulder, our soldiers fought for a shared future, rooted in values we still hold dear. I cannot overstate our gratitude. Our alliance with the United States is centuries old, but perhaps never more vital than during those dark years when your nation stood with ours to defend freedom itself. And beyond the soldiers on French soil, we are equally indebted to all who contributed to the broader war effort, whether on other fronts or in essential support roles. The collective commitment of the United States and other allies helped make victory possible. Words can never fully express the depth of our appreciation. It is my privilege to review the lesson learned between our nations. As you very nicely, Governor, strengthening that friendship remains one of our most meaningful duties. Preserving the memory of those who served is more than a tribute, it's a commitment. In the aftermath of the war, our countries chose to build peace together, founding international institutions that continue to shape our world. These were born of hope and of a resolve never to return to the devastation of the past. Aside distances from those years, let us not forget the world that was made through your courage. Together, we built something greater, the world of cooperation over conflict, liberty over oppression, unity over division. To those among us today who carry that legacy, you have our deepest thanks. You remind us of what was won and what we still must protect. For this special event, we brought for each veteran present today a certificate to express France's gratitude and recognition that you will receive afterwards. While writing each name on this certificate, we couldn't imagine what each story, each commitment uncovered, and had represented for those many young men coming up to France to save our country. For each of you, merci. Vive les vétérans américains, vive la décision américaine.
Thank you so much. And before we honor each of our World War II veterans individually, we are going to hear some of their stories. And we'll have several come up, and then we will come to you at the microphone. So we're going to start with our first veteran, Mr. Mo Broussard.
I hope you can hear me.
Yep, great.
That's the big thing. To the state of Connecticut, Lieutenant Governor, fellow veterans, to my comrade from Granby American Legion Post 182, to my family and friends, representatives from the town of Granby, it is an honor to be here today as one of 16 million Americans who served in World War II. As the state of Connecticut commemorates the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II, thank you for taking time to recognize your World War II veterans and honoring our service. To be part of the greatest generation is to understand sacrifice, courage, and service to our country. Coming from a small town of Northfield, Vermont, and a family of 9 children, my older sister was a nurse, and 5 of us boys saw service. 4 of us were served in World War II. That's my sister, my 2 other brothers, and myself. In 1946, as a young 18-year-old and graduating high school, I joined what was called the United States Army Air Force. Along with 3 other classmates, 2 in the United States Army Air Force and 2 in the Navy, we boarded a train to Boston. From Boston, I traveled on a troop train to San Antonio, Texas, for basic training. After basic training, I was sent to Scottsfield, Illinois to learn radio code and teletype to become a specialist in the Air Force communications. After 3 months of training, I was assigned to the 17th Communication Command, 20th Air Force, and was sent on a troop ship from California to the island of Guam in the Pacific. In 1946, there were still Japanese soldiers hiding in caves on the island. Many did not know the war had ended. I spent 2 years in Guam, and in 1949 was honorably discharged from Otis Air Base at Cape Cod. While I am fortunate to be here with you all as a 96-year-old veteran of World War II, one of 65,000 World War II veterans still alive today, our greatest respect and honor must be given to all the servicemen, women who lost their lives in the war and who are not with us today. We must forever remember them as the true heroes. On behalf of my fellow servicemen, thank you for this honor.
Our next speaker is Mr. Robert Fitz of Bristol. And if it's easier, Mr. Fitz, we can come to you. Is it easier to come? Okay. So we're going to get Mr. Fitz in a minute, don't worry. But before we hear from him, and I'm going to be going to the audience as well. Huh? He's coming. Okay. Perfect. All right.
The Pacific for 2 years, saw the atomic bomb going, and that's the end of the whole story. God bless all the veterans. We all deserve everything. Thank you.
Connecticut was home to many African Americans who fought as Tuskegee Airmen. And speaking on behalf of her dad, who was a Tuskegee Airman, is a former state representative and Commissioner Pat Wilson-Phoenix.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and esteemed World War II veterans. It is an honor and a privilege to stand before you today because I am in the company of remarkable people whose lives are woven into the very fabric of our nation's history. Your service, whether as a volunteer or drafted into duty, whether as an officer leading the charge, as a nurse, medic, or an orderly supporting your brothers in arms, whatever you did on land, sea, or air, whether or not you saw combat at all, you contributed immeasurably to the freedom and security we so cherish today. I stand here as the guest of our Lieutenant Governor, and I can't help but wish my father were sitting here with you today, for that is surely where he would be, right alongside his brothers in arms. He would be silent, but he would be proud, and I am proud of him. My father, Lieutenant Colonel Bertram Wilson, served in 3 wars as a Tuskegee Airman with the 332nd Fighter Group during World War II. He re-enlisted for Korea, and when I was a teenager, he volunteered for Vietnam, where he was embedded as an operations officer with the 3rd Division Marines near Da Nang in the DMZ. His war service honors included the Distinguished Flying Cross with Bronze Oak Leaf clusters, the Bronze Star, the Air Force Commendation Medal, the Presidential Unit Citation, and the Air Force Outstanding Unit Award. He came home to serve his country for over 10 years as UConn's Director of Personnel. He retired, traveled the world, and died in 2002. He is buried in Arlington National Cemetery alongside his brothers. Daddy hailed from New York City, but trained to become a pilot in Alabama, joining the segregated Army Air Corps at the age of 22 in 1943. Tuskegee Airmen were not just pilots, they were pioneers in every sense of the word, striving to prove their value and contribute to the nation's efforts during a time when they had to fight fiercely for their own right to serve. Their commitment to duty came with the heavy burden of confronting both external enemies and the pervasive racism that sought to undermine their patriotism. These brave men faced tremendous obstacles, both in the skies and on the ground. While they soared through enemy territory, they had to contend with an American public that was all too often unwilling to see their worth simply because of the color of their skin. They trained under deeply segregated conditions, often lacking the same resources and recognition afforded to their white counterparts. Yet they excelled, achieving a stellar combat record and earning a reputation that shattered stereotypes and built trust amongst their fellow soldiers. The true irony of their struggle is that while they donned the uniform and risked their lives for a country that still discriminated against them, they remained unwavering in their love for America. They believed in the ideals this nation professes: liberty, justice, and equality for all. Their journeys highlighted the dual battles they faced against those who sought to deny them their rightful place in the ranks and against the very real threats of Nazis and war. You can probably tell that I am proud to be my father's daughter. He raised me with the Tuskegee Airmen's Code as an anchor. Aim high, believe in yourself, use your brain, be ready to go, never quit, expect to win, and rise above. The values I derived from him were grounded by his service. He passed on to me the pride and self-determination that sustained him during the Great War and for years long afterwards. All of you warriors leave a foundational legacy of values for your children's children. From him I learned to value discipline and order, to rely on observation, to respect time, detail, and authority, to act with self-reliance supported by teamwork, to continuously demand excellence, and above all, to cherish patriotism, that certainty that the collective good of our nation comes before personal comfort and safety, and at times, even before individual life. If you were anything like my father, you probably didn't share all the service-related emotions you experienced, the ones we don't talk about, that maybe you carry very deep inside. Memories of fear, pain, loneliness, responsibility, anxiety, loss, self-doubt, guilt, regret. Maybe you suffered addiction or substance abuse, struggling against horrors you didn't want to remember, but simply could not forget. That is the wage of war. Like my father, you probably didn't talk to civilians much about your service at all. You didn't recognize your own bravery and sacrifice. You might not even now. You might be reluctant and a little embarrassed by accolades because you feel like my father did, that you were just doing your job. Well, I know different. And we thank God that you did that job. Your collective sacrifice is a testament to the heroism, loyalty, and indomitable spirit that you own. You know what it means to love one's country fiercely, to stand resolute in the face of adversity, and to strive for a better tomorrow. You fought not only for freedom, but laid down the groundwork for the foundations of a new world order, a world that would bring hope, opportunity, and peace. It is because of your bravery and commitment that I can stand here today, and because of your sacrifice that my generation experiences the privileges we too often take for granted. You, the veterans of World War II, represent a generation that stood firm in the face of adversity. And as I acknowledge your bravery, I so keenly recognize the courage it took for my dad and others like him to fight their way in so they could help redefine patriotism
in a time of deep-seated racism and societal injustice. They fought for a vision of America that upheld the dignity of every citizen and contributed significantly to the progress on civil rights. That fight still goes on. Each and every one of you here, and brothers and sisters in arms who are not here today, share that legacy of resilience and strength. Your very longevity is a living tribute and a triumph over the trials of war. You've seen it all, the camaraderie of shared struggle, the pain of loss, the joy of victory, and the bittersweet realization of the cost of peace. Your stories and the value that you passed on resonate within your lives and in the lives of your children and grandchildren. The freedom and opportunity they enjoy and the strength of the Republic are the direct result of the sacrifices that you folks made. Let us pray that they remember and honor that, because the time feels near to stand again to defend democracy and to act in time to save it. We are so grateful for your presence here, especially in these times. I want you to know that there are many, just like me, who honor your service and live the value that you gave us. We are here to carry on your legacy. We will pass your stories down to the generations that follow, ensuring that your sacrifices are never forgotten. I will not allow the erasure of history to triumph over the adversity that men like my father suffered, and I will fight to ensure that such progress lasts and continues to inspire us all. Your contributions to this nation, to the ideals of freedom and justice, will echo through time as a monumental testament to what it means to serve one's country with honor and dignity. Thank you for paving a brighter future.
Thank you so much, Pat. And now I'll invite Senator Paul Honig, who co-chairs the Veterans Affairs Committee in our state legislature, to bring brief greetings from our legislature.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor Bysiewicz. First, I want to pass on regrets from my co-chair, Representative Foster, who was here earlier, but she had to leave because the House is in session and voting right now. As someone new to the legislature who's been given the honor of co-chairing the Veterans and Military Affairs Committee, it's truly a privilege to be addressing Connecticut's living World War II veterans. And I want to take a moment to speak about one of the veterans here who's very dear to my heart, my father-in-law, Dave Goldberg. Throughout Dave's life, he has exemplified the characteristics of the greatest generation that we all admire so much, from love of country, hard work, devotion to family, and community service. Dave enlisted in the Navy in 1944. He had to get his mom to sign the enlistment papers because he was only 17 at the time. He went on to serve on a transport ship as a dentist's assistant, and after the war became a reservist and was later called back to active duty during the Korean War. Dave worked hard throughout a long career spanning more than 30 years at Pitney Bowes, where he was a service technician for their industrial mailing machines. Dave is a devoted father of his two daughters and an amazing grandfather to our two children. And I know my two boys love their pop-pop very much. After retirement, Dave served his community through being a volunteer teacher at his local senior center, where he taught pottery and stained glass. He's quite an artisan as well. So, Dave, I just want to say it's truly an honor for me to be up here seeing you recognized along with your fellow World War II veterans for all the work that you all did and the sacrifices you made to protect our democracy, and for the contributions that you made to our communities and our country in the decades since. It's truly an honor to be here. Thank you.
All right, so as we are going to hear from some of the amazing veterans and go over to Mr. Bordeaux from New Haven last. Yes, this is Mr. Morgia, Captain James Morgia, and ladies and gentlemen, Captain James Morgia is a Bronze Star and Silver Star recipient.
I appreciate talking to this wonderful looking crowd here. And we all look great and prosperous and bright. And I guess you had a few words to say. And I want to say something about what Churchill said at one time. He says the greatest battle that was ever fought on the planet Earth was the Battle of the Bulge. And you know what? Churchill knew a lot of things. He was a world traveler and all that. And guess what? Today I admit, and I proclaim to you, that I won the Battle of the Bulge in person, and I was only 20 years old then. All right, and I was 80 years old then. So I say, thank you, General Church. You made me famous too. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor, that uniform still fits. Amazing.
the 350,000 women who served. Dottie, tell us what you did. You want me to say something? It's my pleasure to be here. It's my pleasure to be here. I was in San Diego, California during the war, 2.5 years. I enjoyed every bit of it. I was in the Dental Corps. I was in dental hygienist and worked on the sailor when they came back from the war.
I was in the district 37 months. Battle of the Malls and others.
Amazing.
Yes. Well, anything else going on? Well, anyway, I want to say bless everybody here and bless America.
God bless America. God bless you. He's going to be 104 in July. All right, we're going to go over to this side.
Proud to be among so many healers. I can only say to all of you, God bless you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Sparrow, tell me that. Thank you.
I'd like to thank all of the grand veterans for showing up today. It's quite a show. Thank you very much. What's your name?
Wonderful. You're so grateful.
My name is Tony Longo, and I'm glad to be here. I'm 103 years old.
In Virginia you served? I see.
And what's the secret to your long life?
What's your secret to living so long? What's your secret to living so long?
Amazing. Thank you so much. What's your name, sir?
Thank everybody that's here who wish us the best, and especially all of my comrades that have suffered so much, and they can never realize the beauty of people like you that have helped us we're fighting the war. We don't want any more wars ever again. Thank you.
Wise words. It really is so,
It's okay. In the Pacific, yes or no? And then 1934 days, 45 Hi.
Yes. Would you like to talk about your service?
I went in the service. I was in the service in 1943, and I went through boot camp and so forth. And then I assigned was submarine school, finished submarine school, and they said, ask where you think it should be going, and I said, I'm going to stay in Groton because it's near Christmas time for them. And I was assigned to this USS Sea Lion 315. I put it in commission in 1944. I made 6 war patrols on the Sea Lion, and I put it out of commission on Mare Island in 1946. And we had we sank one ship, unbeknownst, that had 1,500 British and Australian prisoners of war on it. And out of the 1,500, they only picked up 174, and we followed the convoy, and they called us back, and we managed to get 4 people on board. Two died while we were on. We had to bury them at sea. And we had quite a record. We only submarine there was a battleship and a cruiser and a destroyer on the same night.
Wow.
Yeah, so we spent a very close network of people. We lived with them for 5.5 years. And they were like family, more than family.
I want to thank you, for the veterans, because they all deserve it. They really do. The ones that are serving now and the ones way back when. Thank you so much. It's our privilege.
Mr. Captain, would you like to say a couple words?
All I can say is more to our fellow witnesses. I'm reading such you cheer as you living in your that's false. We didn't cheer.
What's your name, sir?
What's the question?
What's your name?
Jerry Gorman. World War II. Yep. United States Navy. Okay.
Where did you serve?
Where
did you serve?
Primarily in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Yeah. Kind of strange, but I spent a fair amount of time in Connecticut.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your service, sir. Thank you.
A wonderful day to celebrate my 100th plus birthday.
grateful.
Thank you so much. You didn't tell us where you served.
You still playing Walker to Kansas?
I don't know. Tell me where you served, sir. Which branch of
Yeah, we did. I gave it up.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. Service with the ADA, the Blue Devil in the NRA, earning out the question. A general light in the heart, this is the area that sends up to the occupation troops to produce peace. That was our job. We did work. I think we did a good job. Thank you very much.
Was only 17 back in the 40s, and they brought me into the service, and I got on the mine sweeper. And I told the men what to do, but they said I should do what they wanted, and I said, you're absolutely right. The fact of the matter is, I'm here today, and I feel very fortunate that you picked on me, but you shouldn't have just I'm dressed that way. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
He was in the Army, and he was 1st Special Service Force, and he was a Devil's Brigade.
And where did he serve?
He served in...
Anzio.
Oh, okay.
Anzio.
Anzio, what else? Southern Italy, Nice. Nice, France.
Norway.
He wants to show his bullet. The bullet hit his belt.
Oh my goodness.
And it saved his life. Go ahead.
No.
Okay.
I mean, I gotta stand up.
I know.
I can't
Thank you so much, but that saved your life. That's amazing.
Take the wood.
He's got his dog tags too.
You know what? When we're going to be presenting awards. Thank you, Mrs. Cooper. How are you? Mr. Cooper is 103. God bless you.
Great job.
It's a great honor being here today. It's an honor. I joined the Marine Corps in 1942, and we just went through. They took us back to Iwo Jima for the 80th anniversary of Iwo Jima on March 24th, and the 81st anniversary of Guam. And I'm lucky that I can still do these functions at 100 years old.
God bless you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Caminetti, and the reason he was able to travel to Iwo Jima is he lifts weights every day. So if you work out like him, it will serve you well. Thank you very much. All right.
you like to speak, sir?
Thank you. My name's Eugene Pulaski, and I'm a former United States Marine veteran. As the Marine Corps hymn goes, from the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, I've been to both. I served on land, on sea, and in the air. And if I have to do it again, I'll do it all over again to keep this good country free. Thank you.
From there, I went to Pearl Harbor. From Pearl Harbor, almost down to Hartford. I landed on the islands of the other school. Almost into. From there, I went up into the Philippines, and for that time, they dropped a bomb, and that was the other bit. Wow. They go to war.
Thank you for your service, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, we have a round of applause for all of our veterans who will be sharing their stories.
I'd like to thank all of us who remember soldiers that never died, and we say them for. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So appreciate it. All right, yes, sir.
My name is Herb Garber. Can you all hear me? I served in World War II as all the other veterans here. I was in the training command. And anybody who was a radio operator on a B-17 went through my training. I was stationed in Yuma, Arizona, training radio operators in flexible cutter, how to take the caliber 50 machine gun apart and put it back together again, and mostly how to recognize enemy aircraft and friendly. And I warned those soldiers, if I heard anybody tapping their pencil on their desk after I splashed the picture on the screen, that means they're tapping out the code, they answer. And I'm not a radio operator, I don't know Morse code. So you're going to be in trouble. You're going to tap your pencil on your desk.
Thank you so much. So we are going to start honoring our veterans. All right.
My new friends and I did this, and I wouldn't have missed it for the world.
Excellent. Thank you.
Elsie over here.
All right. Yeah.
I'm here on behalf of Joseph Cristofaro, my Uncle Pat, Sorry he couldn't be here today, but I wanted to mention a quote that he always said and I'll always remember. He said, "I am not a hero. The heroes are those that never came back home." Thank you.